lawful wedded husband.
To be my...
Barbara-Jean. Not Barbara-Jean's heart. With a tramp like you?
Well, I know it hurts being third rate, but aren't you accustomed to it yet?
Oh, Robin, I see you.
I myself the slut of Springfield!
Son of a bitch in here. I found out myself what love is all about.
Hey everybody, it's me, Nikki. Hey everybody, welcome to Ranting with Ricardo. We are here to talk about what them soaps. But before we get into all of that, don't forget to hit the subscription button to then turn on the notification bell so you can be updated and kept up to date about all the great things we have going on over here. And then check the description box down below for a lot of great stuff that I have listed down there. There's some stuff y'all want to see. But with that being said, let's get into them soaps. Okay, so a little update about what's going on down to the General Hospital. Some light, some quick. Let's get into it. So Michael Easton, who plays Finn, is out. I'm not sure what that means for his character. I'm not sure what that means for his storyline. I know Finn is supposed to be, you know, a little spoiler alert before we really get deep into the episodes. Finn is going to rehab for 90 days. So I'm not sure if Michael Easton, while Finn is at rehab, is going off to do different projects, or he had different stuff going on. We're not sure what that means for the character. We know that the actress who plays Violet, she's not leaving the show, so we'll see what happens for him. And then returns, we have Brian Craig returning as Morgan sometime in August. I heard it's only one episode. I was hoping that it would be for more, but we'll see how that goes. And then we have Jonathan Jackson returning as Lucky Spencer. And I feel like if Lucky is returning, then that would be a good time to go ahead and wake Leslie Liu up and go ahead and get Nicholas up out of prison, because all he did was provide Esme adequate care for her pregnancy. That's all I'm saying. But that being said, those were the updates. Let's get into it. So Jason calls Maxie, and he like, listen, Maxie, I need you to do me this favor. Call Anna. Tell her I'm looking for her. And then you call me back. Okay, so I know that you got in contact with her. Maxie's like, why you need? Just do it, Maxie. Okay, so Anna in bed naked with Valentine, and she just watching him. She just contemplating. And I'm like, oh, you're wondering how you slept with someone who's setting you up, girl. Many women have failed, and many women have fallen to these trickeries. Okay, slept with some men who's setting them up. You're not special, Miss Girl. But Maxie calls her, and she picks up the phone, and she's like, Maxie, what you want? So Maxie runs it down to her, and she was like, before she could really get into it, Valentine takes the phone, and he's like, listen, Anna will call you back. And he go ahead and lay Anna down, and they start, you know, kissing and all that stuff. And I was like, ew, y'all nasty. So then Maxie calls Jason back, and she's like, listen, I got to contact her. I told her what you wanted me to say. And while Maxie is running all this down to him and then asking him, now, what the hell y'all got going on? Anna texts him like, listen, I'm fine. He's awake. You got to go before he spots you. So Jason's like, listen, Maxie, I do this another time with you, and he take off. Staying with Anna and Valentine, he wants to stay in bed all day, but she's like, oh, I can't do that. I can't stay in bed all day. That's not an option. Okay, got to get up. Got stuff to do. Got to go to work. I'm an adult. So he was like, listen, you know what? Let me just make you breakfast. So as he goes to make breakfast, now mind you, he lives alone. He may have cameras all over the house, who knows? But he lives alone. So obviously we know he's the one in the kitchen, and he don't have like any help staff. He's in the kitchen making breakfast, and is going around looking for stuff. She eventually finds a satellite phone on the bookshelf that's in his little office area. And she like, oh, okay, dawns on her that, yeah, he really is running Pikeman. So when they sit down to have breakfast, they're talking and reminiscing, and he wants them to be a couple again, and she's very hesitant. And her excuse for being hesitant is the fact that your daughter was pew-pewed by me. How are we going to get over that? Like, I'm still not over it. And, you know, she still feels guilt. She still feels guilt for that. other than the fact that Charlotte had been tormenting her, she still feels guilt for what she did. And he just so in love with her. And he's like, we can work all this stuff out. And, we don't have to make this work in Port Charles. We can make it somewhere else because I'm not so fond of Port Charles. So she was like, I don't know. Her whole thing is, I don't know about this. I don't know if we can do this. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Like, and it's very, I don't know if we should be doing all of this. And he's just like, he wants to do it. He wants to be in a relationship with her. He wants to make this happen. So she was like, listen, I gotta go. Thank you for the breakfast. It's amazing. You said this was something light, but this seemed like a little bit more. And he told her, you come back over here anytime you want. My home is your home. Mi casa es su casa. Okay? So she eventually meets up with Jason and tells him about the satellite phone. And Jason's like, cool. We can get the phone. We could give it to old boy, and then we can be done with this. And Anna's having a hard time because it's just like her head, her heart, and her vagina are all not on the same wavelength. Her heart is split in the go with Valentine and just say F everybody, and no, do the right thing and protect everybody. Her head is saying lock his ass up. Her vagina says, girl, we don't want to lock him up. We love him, okay? We love him. We want to keep him right here with us. So she's having this whole conflict within herself of what she should do, what she shouldn't do. And then she finally says, no, I can't be on the fence no more. He got to get got for what he's doing. Because let's see, he's setting you up. He's driving Sonny crazy. He's trying to put Sonny in jail because he wants to be able to import and export guns in and out of the harbor. And I'm gonna be honest, as much as people hate Sonny, at least Sonny has tried to keep guns, drugs, and human trafficking up out of Port Charles. At least he's tried to do that. And that's one of the reasons why people don't like the fact that he controls like the harbor. Because if he controls the harbor, then the things you want to get through or things you want to export can't happen. The 3 top things that don't happen on Sonny's watch: guns, drugs, human trafficking. That's a big no-no. It ain't happen. Now you could smuggle a little art, a little electronic, a little coffee, okay, maybe some garments, some fabric, maybe little diamonds. Okay? Maybe a little, weather machine. But the other 3, humans, drugs, and guns, no. We don't do that over here. We don't support that type of ministry. And Valentine is trying to get guns through there. And Cyrus is trying to get drugs through there. I feel like they all working together to try to drive Sonny up out of there and send Port Charles into even more cesspool than it was. And I'm going to just say this, as much as people hate that man, at least he's good for something. Just saying. So he on the phone and he like, we got one last shipment and this is going to be the one that finally drive him over the edge. And I'm like, oh my God, because he's isolated. And it was like, because you wanted him to be isolated. I would be surprised if y'all haven't been working with Ava this entire time. I'm going to just be honest, because she knows something is wrong with his medication. But we'll keep it going. Speaking of Ava, Sonny threw her ass up out of the apartment, the penthouse, and Ava is fighting to stay, and she's like, I'm your friend, I've been here for you, I thought we were cool, I thought we were this, I thought we were that. And Sonny ain't having none of it because you went and snitched out on Alexis and you turned her in and he has a code. Like, why are you snitching? Like, honestly, Ava should have saw this coming. If he had a problem with Jason being an FBI informant and he thinks Jason is snitching on him, but in reality Jason has done all this to protect Carly, why would you think that he would be okay with finding out that you went and snitched on Alexis? And as many times as you want to say, well, she brought this on herself. She did perjure herself. She perjured herself to the medical board. She's not a doctor. She didn't perjure herself into court. Now, I know we got to hold everybody responsible, but you were not the person to hold her responsible, because at the end of the day, you're doing this to get back at her on behalf of Julian, when it really comes down to the fact that Julian was the catalyst to ruin his own marriage to her. He was the catalyst to ruin his own marriage to her and to ruin the connection he had with his people. Because we're not going to forget every bad decision Julian made. We're not going to forget all the bad decisions Julian has made. We're not going to forget his bad behavior. At the end of the day, your brother chose his path, and it led him to working with Cyrus to blow up the floating rib, where he could have blew up his grandson, your great nephew. A lot of problems. A lot of problems. So her and Sunny going back and forth, and she starts, like, when being nice to Sunny is not working, she starts manipulating him and telling him nobody likes you, nobody wants you around, no one wants to be around you. At the end of the day, you are the reason why your children have all the problems they have. You are the catalyst to every single problem that has ever happened in Dante, Michael, Morgan, Christina's lives. I'm like, ooh, damn. You hit her with a hard one. But I was like, also, you can't really blame him for certain stuff that it comes to. Comes with the kids in their lives, because it's not like he told Dante, hey, go be a cop and go monitor Brenda's photo shoot and then get into it with old boy and unalive him. He never told Dante to do that. He never told her to do that. It's not like he told Mike, well, you know what, Mike, ooh, Michael is the one you could be like, it's not like he was the reason why Christina was with Kiefer. Which is, to be honest, there's a lot of things you can't blame him for. But hey, she blaming him for every bad thing that has ever happened to his kids. And he was like, listen, since you like signing affidavits and doing all that stuff, maybe I should sign an affidavit. Maybe I should sign an affidavit about you killing Connie. Maybe I should sign an affidavit about you switching out Morgan's medication. And he threw Morgan up in her face. And he was like, your family is the reason why Morgan is dead. Had it not been for you messing with his medication, he would have never went and stole your mother's car that your crazy ass sister planted a bomb on and then went kablooey to the sky. So they going back and forth, and he told her to get the fuck out. And she was like, well, I'm going to take my. He was like, oh, no, you ain't got to worry about that. Listen, we'll split time like we did before. You go find you someplace to live. She can stay here until you get adequate housing. And, she grabbed a few things, and she go, and she tried to say some words, and he slammed the goddamn door in her face. So now it's about to be a jacked up situation, because when we take it to yesterday's episode, they're going back and forth about this whole entire situation, and she thinks he's about to try to take custody of Avery from her because she sends Trina over to the penthouse to get her planner. And while Trina's there, Trina's like, she wants her room number. He was like, I don't need it. But let me let you know something. You tell her, we're going to have to talk with the lawyers about this, because the Metro Court is not a place where children should be spending time, as in living part-time. So when Trina takes that back to Ava has lost her motherfucking mind. She like, he want to threaten people. I could threaten people. And she's going off, and Trina is seeing Ava like at this moment, like, girl, what's wrong with you? You got issues. So Ava ends up calling Scott. And Scott comes down there and they're talking. And Scott was like, listen, you nor Sonny are good people. Y'all both got y'all own stuff with y'all. And Ava is like, well, I have to fight for my daughter, because if not, he's going to take custody away and he's going to hold her. And I'm never going to see her, and I can't lose another child. And at the end of the day, Ava, had you not been complaining about Kiki to Ryan, maybe Kiki would still be around. Just saying. But then again, Ryan is crazy, so he possibly was going to go after her anyway. He didn't really need a reason, but you did help. I feel like Ava still feels guilt over that. So now we about to head into a goddamn custody battle. And her and Jocelyn took the Quartermain apartment, so Jocelyn's been down there cleaning, and Gio was like, did I not clean well enough? And Jocelyn's like, listen, no, you could clean, but I'm gonna still go over it. You clean all you want, but I'm gonna still go over it and get stuff together, girl. I'm gonna still go over it and get stuff together, girl, because I gotta, your clean may not be my clean. So she's cleaning up, they're talking, and this is when she find out that Ava is a cheapskate. Ava has gotten over on Gio. How much is Gio getting paid to perform at her event? $100. $100 an hour, no baby, $100. And he was like, oh, I thought, it was a good way to get my foot in the door. And she was like, child, please. She got over on you. And so when Trina shows up, I'm thinking like, oh my God, like, what y'all doing with the character of Trina? Like, listen, I love seeing Trina. Y'all need to give her more screen time. She need to have some good stuff going on. We don't need no more trauma. We don't need no more angst. We need fun. So Trina shows up and she just running down to them about being over there with Ava and what she got going on. And they're like, you don't think she would physically hurt him, would you? And she was like, listen, I don't know. And Jocelyn was like, listen, me and Sonny don't see eye to eye. When it came to my mom and that whole situation, I probably definitely should have stayed out of it and minded my own goddamn business. But I don't want nothing bad to happen to him, and Ava cannot be trusted. So at this point, it's just like, ooh, we're about to head into a custody battle. But Ava, the only issue I find with this custody battle, because I know y'all about to be mudslinging and doing all this, is when they find out you knew about Sonny's medication being tampered with and you said nothing and did nothing about it, baby, they about to rain hell on you. It's not going to be a good situation. This might be a good thing for Valentine, but Ava, not so much. So speaking of this whole custody thing, now Christina just went down there to see, because we're jumping all over the place, but you know, it all connects. Christina goes down there to see Alexis, and she was like, listen, I read up on everything you gave me. I decided to put together this motion that I want to have filed, that it's a just in case, a protection for the baby, a just in case, and a protection for Molly, because that's what she's doing. So it's a just in case Molly or TJ breaks up, the baby stays with us. And Alex is like, who is us? Because she's thinking, she talked about the baby will stay with Christina and Blaze. And Christina's like, no, I'm doing this just in case they break up, the baby stays with the Davis family, because she feels like if TJ had it his way, he would take the baby and nobody would ever see the baby again. And because Molly doesn't have a biological connection, as in she's the mother, it was one of her eggs or anything like that, he could possibly do that, because the only ones who have rights to the baby at this point are Christina and TJ. And Alexis was like, I don't want this like I'm choosing sides or anything. And Christina's, and why are you doing this? Like, do you want them to break up? And Christina's like, no, but they've been fighting more than usual. Only one small hiccup, and that was the whole Taylor thing. They've been good for years, and they're like just constantly going at each other. And I'm like, she has a right to be scared. Now, granted, you should have never suggested yourself or have been chosen to be the surrogate for your sister. That was the thing that was fucked up. Like, that's the fucked up thing in this situation. But at the end of the day, she has a right to be scared, because it's just like, y'all sitting up here fighting, y'all sitting up here going back and forth. Molly gonna end up pregnant. Somebody pointed out, they doing all this fighting and she had all this stress on her. They don't, and then they finally do the wild thing on the couch. She gonna end up pregnant, surprise pregnancy, and it's just like, ooh, this baby might be left out in the cold. Anyway, as Christina and Alexis are talking about this, Christina walked in on Alexis doing something. We all know Alexis is trying to get her 48 hours of law education up so she could get back to practicing law. And Sonny stops by, and Sonny is like, listen, Christina told me about what happened, and I'm sorry about it. And, you know, Alexis is like, you wouldn't have known, but, you know, it's a good thing that you've known. And he tells them that he threw Ava out. And that's when, you know, Alexis is like, I can't hold it in no more. I got my license back. All I have to do is continue my 48 hours, and then I'm reinstated, and then I'll be working with Diane again. And he was like, oh, the dynamic duo. But she was like, that don't mean I'm gonna be your lawyer. And he was like, that's fine, because I'm gonna need another lawyer anyway, because I'm about to get into this battle, as in the custody battle with Ava. So that's that messy part right there. Now let's head over to Finn. So Finn, Diane, speaking of Diane has stopped by Finn's to give him the emergency custody or temporary custody order, and then the emergency temporary restraining order that keeps him 500 feet away from Violet, because he's been drinking. So he starts to light into Diane, talking about, you're trying to help my brother and his wife steal my child and all of these things. And Diane is like, listen, at the end of the day, we wouldn't have got neither one of these things had it not been for the evidence. So then he started going off on her more, and Diane don't take the bait. Diane just gives him a message from Violet, and she's like, she wants to do X, Y, and Z, and she wants to do all these things when you get better. So hit him in the fields, Diane. Check up the deuces. Here your paperwork. I done served you. I'm up out of here. Quit playing with Diane like that. So he ends up calling Scott. Now he calls Scott because everybody wants Scott to be their lawyer. He calls Scott And he's running this all down to Scott. And Scott is like, okay, we need to have the people you work with come be, character witnesses. We need people from NA meetings to be character witnesses. He's not going to NA or AA meetings. He's not going, oh, no, not NA. He goes to AA. NA is Narcotics Anonymous. AA is Alcoholics Anonymous. He's like, we need people from AA. We need these people. And he's like, well, I don't have that because I quit my job and ain't been going to meetings. And he was like, listen, I just need your help. All I want is my daughter back. And listen, you can take all the money because we could sue, we could sue GH because my patent I gave to them so they could get up out of bankruptcy. We could sue them. You could take all that money. We be good. We call it square. Scott just has to be let it known that you don't need your child right now. You need to get some help. So Scott ends up going down to see Elizabeth. And he like, why didn't you tell me that he was this bad, like this whole situation? Why didn't you tell me? And she was like, I didn't want to be around here telling his business after everything that happened to all these people. So she's like saying all these things, and he was like, listen, I want to be there for you and the boys, because obviously they became like his grandsons when she was married to Franco. And they're just talking about the fact that Finn's going through this. He needs help. He don't want to get help. And obviously she's been through this before with Lucky, but she's like, what can I do to help him? And Scott is saying what we've all been saying and what we all say to the real addicts who happen to be in our lives, family members, friends, spouses, whoever, that you can't help these people until they want to be helped. And most of the time they have to hit complete rock bottom, no help whatsoever, nobody to push them up, lift them up. They have to hit rock bottom until they want help. And he just talking to her, trying to reassure her and all these great things. Now, Finn ends up calling for delivery. What is he delivering? He wants to get 2 handles of vodka delivered to him. And when the 2 handles get there, he got one in his hand and he about to drink it. Like, it's tilted right up to his mouth. And it's like, all you got to do is put your lips to it and, guzzle it down. And then he's looking between the bottle in his hand and the papers with the custody and all that stuff. And he ends up launching both the vodka bottles at the wall and then takes off. Where is he going? He ends up going to Gregory's bench. And who's at the bench? Chase. Chase is at the bench. Chase is going through it. He didn't want to have to do this. And so they start going back and forth about all this stuff. And Chase just runs it down to him. Like, at the end of the day, you need to get some help. You need to get some help. This is not good for you. This is not good for her. And we never actually wanted to do this. Like, because his whole thing is Brooklyn's always wanted to take Violet. And the whole thing is, no, nobody wanted to take Violet from you. You just need to get you some serious help so we can figure this out. So, in a roundabout way, Finn, because Chase had to run it down to him, like, your daughter saw you. She thought you were dead. She's continuously blaming herself for all of this. I guess that finally got through to him. He calls up the rehab that Tracy got him a room at, and he was like, listen, I heard I'm supposed to be staying here. They was like, yeah. So Chase was like, I'll drive you up there, and when you're done, I'll pick you up. Finn's like, fine, but I'll go on the basis that I get to say goodbye to my daughter so she doesn't think I just up and abandoned her. So when Chase goes down there to talk to Tracy and Brooklyn about this, he was like, we got to make it happen because this could be even more traumatizing and she could feel like she's being abandoned by her father if he just ups and leaves for 90 days without no contact. So that conversation's going to happen. Earlier in the day, Tracy and Brooklyn were talking about the possibility of Brooklyn, Chase, and Violet all moving into the Quartermain mansion on the estate. That way, Violet has the maternal and paternal figures and the stability that she'll need, and also more kids around, because Chase and Brooklyn, like, y'all can go get a house, but it's not going to be the same as having all these people here to, like, distract her and lift her up and just, like, really be there for her. And after a lot of talking, Brooklyn's like, I'll have to talk to Chase about us moving in here. And then she was like, listen, Tracy liked to play hard. She liked to play hard ass. She liked to play tough ball. But at the end of the day, you have a heart. And Tracy was like, don't you tell nobody. I got a reputation to keep up. Speaking of the Quartermains, let's talk about Sasha and Cody. It really boils down to, they were like, okay, something right with Violet. So people are picking up on what's going on with Violet and something is wrong. And they hope everything's okay. And it's truly hoping that it has absolutely nothing positively to do with her father. But it has everything to do with her father. So we get on the father conversation. And Sasha didn't have a father. Cody had multiple father figures, but they really weren't good for him. And it gets into the conversation of, you need to tell Mac that you're his son. He wants to do it at the right time. Mac had stopped by and he's like, I want to thank you for being here for my family, but I also want to apologize to you because I thought you was just a con man. I thought you was this and that. And, I'm going to stop by here with James when he does all his stuff. And Sasha was like, I just want you to be the happiest you could possibly be. Tell your father that you were his son. Tell your father that you are his son. Okay? Just tell him. And he's like, it just has to be the right time. Now I forgot to mention that Jocelyn told Gio to stay out of the whole Ava and Sunny situation. So where was it? Okay, let's talk about Elizabeth. Jason went down there to talk to Elizabeth to check on her after everything that happened with Finn. And then he starts talking about Jake, because she was like, Jake really trusted you enough to call you. And he was like, speaking of Jake, listen, as his mother, would it be okay, as his mother and a person who has raised him this entire time on her own, would it be okay for me to possibly ask him to go to a, baseball game and everything? And Elizabeth's like, listen, you can ask him. I'm not going to force him to do anything because I'm not about to, ruin my relationship with my son. He's been talking to me more because them teenage years is something awful. I'm not going to force him to do anything because I love the relationship we have now. I'm not going to force him not to talk to you. I'm not going to tell him not to talk to you, but I'm also not going to tell him to talk to you. Just give him time. And if you ask him, maybe he will, maybe he won't, but be consistent. And I think that shows the opposite of what Sam is doing and what Liz is doing. Sam is letting her emotions of he left us under the guise of saying, oh, my son, take over. And this whole controlling thing she's doing is pushing Danny away. But she'd been pushing Danny away months before Jason was even thought to be coming back. She had been pushing Danny away. That's why he was sneaking out and getting drunk and going on joyrides and doing all that stuff, which is the opposite of what Liz is doing. She understands what that controlling aspect could be to a teenager because that's what happened with her. That's how obviously with her and her father and her mother being like the Gallivant, that's one of the reasons why her and her sister got sent to Port Charles back in the 90s. She understands that if I try to control them, they're going to act out. But if I be their mother and I be like, well, you can't do X, Y, and Z, and here are the reasons, not made up reasons, not because, oh, I'm scared, but the real reasons you can't do all these things, and I actually discipline them, but I allow them to be their own people, then we keep a pretty cool relationship. So that's what's going on with them. Did I miss anything? I felt like I missed something. Oh, and finally, Carly went down there to talk to Brennan, and she just wants to know what can she do, how can she get help, and she was like, "Can I trust you?" And Brennan, being honest, like, "I know you can't. You can't trust anybody. The only person you can trust is yourself, and half the time you can't trust your goddamn self to make the right decisions for anything." So she was like, "Okay, I don't know what to do, but all right, let me just run it down to you." So she tells him everything that's going on, and she was like, "I really want to know what the FBI honor the deal that they gave Jason." And he was like, "I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm gonna keep it a G. They won't." As soon as Jason is no longer valuable to them, you're going to jail. So he just runs down to her. Like, they can, like, the deal can be on the table, and it can be on the table for as long as they want it to be. But the moment he's no longer valuable to them, you're going to jail. So my advice to you is to get your ducks in a row, get your stuff in order. You broke the law. And she was like, I know I broke the law. So obviously she knows that part. But he was like, get your stuff in a row, get it all together, go hire you a great ass lawyer and start to work on your defense. Because once he becomes invaluable to the FDB and you're going to prison. And he was like, we can have more talks like this. Just come visit me again. And I feel like Brennan, ultimately, if we find out somebody else is pulling the strings for Pikeman, I'm just going to be honest. The way to take this is we think that Jagger is so straight cut, so straight laced and everything. We find out that Jagger set all this stuff up, or somebody else is controlling. So go ahead and figure that out for yourself. But that was it for that. That was it for both episodes. If you liked it, do what you got to do. That was it for them soaps. And with that being said, I love everyone, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.